Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope y'all are doing great. I am doing okay. Today we're going to be working with this cute little I'm Stuck on You stamp from Spellbinders. I picked it up at Tuesday morning. I paid for it with my own money. And we're just going to try and replicate this as best as possible. So I've already taken the liberty of stamping it out. I stamped it out 4 times. I used a Michael's 65-pound. Used some archival ink, stamped it out. I already created 3 other cards. I was on the telephone with my aunt, and while we were chit-chatting, I was just coloring up a storm, and this should not take very long. I like to try and emulate or copy the images that they have on the back as a go-by. It just gives me a lot of, the inspiration. It helps me because I'm not really into cactus or cacti stamps and things like that, but they're so cute. So I do own a few of them, and I like that they have a go by because I just can copy that go by. And the coloring, in my opinion, goes fairly quickly. It's only 4 colors that you need. I like that they had this little dirt pile. I think this is a great stamp and sentiment. You don't have to worry about anything. You just stamp it on and go on about your business. Now, I did think about fussy cutting out the cactus and the dirt pile and doing some layering, but I just chose to do it exactly how it is because it's quick and easy and simple. I haven't released some of these other videos that I've made in the past doing this since for 2020 at the very, I would say, April and May. I made a few of them, but they need to be edited, so I need to edit them and then I'll release them. So a lot of videos that I release are not edited because I don't really care to do all that. But I do like to listen back to my videos. I know some people just, and I'm one of those people from the past, I would just record and release, but now I like to go back and listen to them. In case I say something crazy, like if I'm saying you need to use glue and I say, oh, you should use, I don't know, caulk or something crazy, I like to try to correct that as best as possible. And you can always drop in some words on editing, but I'm not that good at it, so that's the problem that I run into. So I try to just be very mindful of everything that I say. Even still, I remember a long time ago I was saying scarecrow for snowman and snowman for scarecrow. Starts with an S, right? They kind of do the same thing. Not really. Not everyone has a snowman, and not everyone has a scarecrow in their area, right? So you dress them up in human clothes, so maybe they're a little bit more similar than we think, right? But that is definitely something that I like to try and prevent, is saying the wrong words. But sometimes I think that your mind, I know from example, my mind is probably quicker than the mouth. And so I'm thinking 3 or 4 thoughts at one time, and who knows what's going to pop out whenever I'm saying it. So that's something I have to be mindful of. I really like this stamp a lot. It's super easy, and not too much fuss on it. You get a stamp and a sentiment, so I don't have to worry about it. And it's so punny, right? I'm stuck on you. It's a cactus, and a lot of those um, cactus puns are going around, or all puns, like the pizza ones. I think that's what I want for lunch, pizza. I'm going to go back over my heart really quickly because I missed it. I colored over a little bit in the green. So I just want to go back over it and give it some vibrant overcoloring. All right, now I'm just going to use blue because that's what they have. And I think maybe that's why it's so simple, because it's blue, right? And green. And then those other two colors, the pink and brown. But I just feel like whoever designed this, you did a great job. Some stamps and dies I've seen, I'm like, how are you supposed to work with that? Like those little tiny stamps, I have a few, but I'm like, what am I really supposed to do with this? I don't understand. I don't get it. So I originally cut this paper down 4¼ by 5½, just because it's just, in my opinion, it's easier to cut 8½ by 11 into 4 card fronts and then trim as needed. But because they have yet some layering on the example, I wanted to try, like I said, try my best to copy or emulate that. And so what I've done is I got another piece of paper, and you'll see that in a few seconds, as the card front. So this is, it's going to be a layering piece. And what I've done is just cut that down to a little bit shorter than 4¼ and a little bit shorter than 5½ to make it like that. So then I just take my vintage photo, and since it's in the desert somewhere, right, it's not just sitting floating around, even though I could trim this down. See, this is the only part that I don't really think, I think this could have been lower so it can actually be on the ground where you have your U. But what I've done is I've just distressed or inked up the edges a little bit around here, because they've done something on theirs as well to give it that look. Be careful with your sponges when you're going over the edges. If you're a little bit too heavy-handed, like I can be sometimes, you'll make your sponges peel up. So just keep that in mind. And now I'm using Mermaid Lagoon, and just gonna do the sky. Okay. The same way. I can't tell you which one I like the best, using this sponge or the makeup applicator. I feel like with the makeup applicator, I'm much more rough with it than with the sponge. But I like that so all of mine sometimes has that like spongy effect, and that's what I don't like. So I end up having to, go over that. So that's why I'm kind of going off the mat and then on the mat. I do have a glass plate. I was going to put it up as my background, but it's so shiny, it's so reflective that I feel like it just does a disservice. So I think if I ever decide to do some of that type of work, I'll have to do the work off and just do a project share versus work with me. But I'll figure that out at a later date. If anyone's wondering why I don't use my glass or use a glass mat, I think that the reflective glare is a little bit too harsh. Now, I did another video showing how I use my little tiny pieces from Walmart, from the scrap pack, and this is one of those pieces. I always tell you all that I tend to use a lot of those things, like when I make like ephemera videos and things like that, I tend to use them like immediately. But I thought that would be really cool because it's blank right there, and I feel like this little cloud fits perfect. All right, so I have applied that. I have this is from Hey Mister, my mind's eye paper pad, and it had Hey on the other side, but I thought this would be really cool to use because using this card base from Michaels, I'm going to use this like that, and then we'll get this, and it looks like that. The only thing I didn't do is they have a sheet of paper, look like some burlap or burlap paper, and they went around and stitched it, or faux stitching, could be a faux stitch stamp, and they have this string. So I didn't have the string or the faux stitching. I must be honest, I am not that great at doing multiple layers. Like 2 layers is probably all I can really do, and I consider this to be 2 layers, so 1, 2, and then the card base. But some people layer, and they're great at it. I don't feel like I'm the best at it all the time, so that is just something that I need to, you know, keep in mind when it comes to those kinds of things. So always make sure your card opens to the appropriate location that you want it to open. Now, the only thing is, like right here, you see this line is cut off and then it's open. You can put that however you want. It's not a major deal, but I thought the brown and green would look great because it's nature. You know, the cactus, brown, green, we use those colors to color it up. And this is almost 5 1/4 by 4 1/2, so it just has to be measured appropriately, or we could get some overhang in one spot, and we don't want overhang in any of the spots. And now I'm just burnishing this down to make sure that it adheres really well. And I'm going to take some glue. This card base, not the card base is flimsy. It's not super thick, but the card front, that first layer, is really thick. So I feel like if I use some wet glue on it, it won't bow that much, and that's why I use tape on one side and I'm using glue on the other side. Now I want to make one more check. It's open on the right section because I have really great luck at putting it the opposite direction. And here we go. Right here, I'm just going to slide this over a little bit because even though you can't see it, you can see the brown. I want that to show. Just going to burnish this down once more. And that's the card. So the only thing that we don't have, you see they kind of colored that portion in. I thought it'd be good just to, they even got some blue. This looks like some framing around here, and this yellow right here. I don't know what they did with that. And I'm not trying to completely copy the entire card, but I like that. And these are the other 3 that I made, which I like. I hope that you do too. I want to say thank you all for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.